Katherine Armstrong is our next presenter, and she comes to us all the way from Lexington, Kentucky, where she is a retired teacher of 30 years teaching experience in grades 1 through 6. She's led professional development in math, writing, and science, and she's currently a science consultant for Delta Education. She's first and foremost a teacher. So, Katherine Armstrong is here, like I said, all the way from Lexington, Kentucky, where she'll be returning as soon as she's done with her presentation. So please join me in welcoming her to talk about FOSS hands-on science. Thank you, Katherine.
First and foremost, a teacher, right? How many teachers do we have in here? How many elementary teachers do we have in here? How many middle school teachers do we have in here? How many high school teachers? And I guess the rest of you are others. When I started teaching way back in the day, a long time ago, science wasn't challenging. All I had to do was open up the book, tell the kids to open up to a certain page, ask them a couple of questions, close the book, and I was done. But just like Confucius says, you know, how much did they remember from it? And if I ask you about your former experiences, how much do you remember from your former experiences? Do you remember reading about science? Do you remember looking at science, or do you remember doing science? So a couple of years after that, I started trying to come up with the doing part. That's when it became challenging, because I had to go come up with the activity, go gather all the materials, come up with the assessment. Did it all work? And at some point, I'll have to tell you, when I was doing that science, in that middle part, there was some kind of chaos that would go on. I don't know why, but it always did. So when I stumbled on FOSS kits at a National Science Convention, I thought it sounded pretty good, nagged the administration, they bought us a few, came back and tried it, and that whole chaos and confusion just went away. The materials came right there, and as an elementary teacher, we don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time to think about what we're going to do and do all that planning. We have to kind of know it. So to have the materials right there to pull out with the kids and see the kids excited about doing science was pretty exciting. So you can see how engaged. I mean, my kids would be so engaged, I could go around the classroom, take pictures. They didn't even know I was taking their picture. So FOSS is really kind of a do it, talk it, read it, write it program. Kids have to have experiences first, and then talk about those experiences before they're ever ready to read and write about it. So FOSS brings that doing part. They bring well-positioned questions that I can ask that are higher order questions and help bring that content out. And then they're ready to develop that vocabulary and that speaking, attach it to language, and attach it to writing. And then they're going to be notebooking as scientists do. It's all embedded in there. So if as a teacher, if I'm not familiar with that, it's guiding me through that. It starts off with a focus question. I'm going to gather some data. I'm going to make meaning for it. I'm going to answer the focus question as a student. And then we're going to talk about it as scientists. The reading part is also in there. The expository reading that articles and pieces go along with what they've been doing. Have you ever been on vacation and you come back and you see where you've been on TV or in a magazine, and you get excited because you say, I've been there, I've done that. Well, that's what kids do as well. After they've had the experience, they've talked about it, they've written about it, and then they read about it, what they're reading makes sense to them, which makes sense that our science scores went up, but not only our science scores, our literacy scores went up. The kids' comprehension levels soared because of having had those experiences. The teacher guide for the teachers too is very friendly because it tells me exactly what to do. I could be Ben Stein on Ferris Bueller's Day Off and blandly say questions or whatever, and the kids are still with me and enjoying and engaged. It tells me when to bring materials in, which is very important because we can ruin a whole lesson by bringing them in too soon or too late. icons in the margins. It's color-coded as well for my standards. So, you know, if I'm looking at science and engineering practices, there they are in the margins. If I'm looking at cross-cutting concepts, there they are in the margins. It's telling me where I'm doing it. The icons are plainly there. As a teacher, I really did not have time to digest all of the standards that came out. But in FOSS, it tells in the teacher guide all the science and engineering standards, but it's telling me what I'm doing in those lessons that's hitting the technology, that's hitting the science, that's hitting the engineering and the cross-cutting concepts. It's got the literacy as well built in, so it's connected with ELA standards or literacy standards that go along with it. So I'm going to tell a personal, powerful story because that last doing part, I was working with some Georgia science teachers a couple of years ago, and I had my daughter help me put some D-cells, some wires, and some bulbs in these little bags for the teachers to be, or the science supervisors to be able to do it. And I said, honey, would you just help me out? I would like to see how long it takes you to get that bulb to light. I turned around and she had it lit just like that. And I was amazed. I'm serious. I'm going, I don't know how she did that. How did you do that so fast? She said, I remember doing it in your 4th grade class, Mom, because, you know, if any of us have ever had our kids, that's not a fun thing, right? But she remembered doing it in my 4th grade class. From 9 years old, she was 33 at the time, she could get the bulb lit really quick without hesitation. In fact, even told me that when she went home in the afternoon, she'd get in the dark closet and try lighting the bulb in the closet, which I never knew as well. So that doing part, you know, they remember, kids remember what's going on. I want you to experience FOSS too as well, how powerful it is. If you go to this website, www.fossweb.com, it's going to let you set up your own account, and you can do that if you want to. But I've given you a username and password that you can put in, a login. And I crafted this just for you guys. Try FOSS, MI for Michigan, 17 for the year, at gmail.com. You're going to see my name up there when you log in. And then you're going to put in the password, try Michigan, MI FOSS 17 as the password. And when you go on, you're going to be able to look, you're going to see modules, little book emblems. You can see which one kind of hits your grade level. Click on the book. It's got, you'll have access for 60 days to the teacher guides, teacher prep videos, the student sheets, interactive whiteboard content, which are the flip charts that go with your smart boards. You'll be able to have access to the multimedia the students see. The e-books are online, and they're interactive e-books. They read like the little dotted line that goes across. And so try it. I know you're going to love it as much as I do. Thank you.